Here we go.
News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery...
I don't know if I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this a lot. Usually whenever I see them pulling somebody over, it's because the person's trying to put their car in the middle of the road. And you see how, like, this is what people like Tim Walz do, is they just go on camera, and, like, if you take this at face value, you're going to assume that ICE is pretty bad, right? Oh my God, ICE is just arresting everybody. It's like a secret police. They're going around. So you can see how this psychosis, like, builds up, right? You can see how this happens. People like Cutie eat it up. Yeah, they eat it up like crazy. As I said, it's only 170 cases out of 680,000 deportations. Can you give me a link for that, Nomad? Yeah, if somebody can find a link for that, that would be good.
Stores, at bus stops, even at our schools.
Yeah.
They're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
Unmarked vans. It's just, again... And you see how this is explained with the absolute highest degree of misrepresentation possible. You are intentionally trying to misrepresent this in the most extreme way that you can in order to make people think that something different's happening. That's it. It's the wording on it. Yeah, your intention. Here we go.
News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery...
I don't know if I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this a lot. Usually whenever I see them pulling somebody over, it's because the person's trying to put their car in the middle of the road. And you see how, like, this is what people like Tim Walz do, is they just go on camera, and, like, if you take this at face value, you're going to assume that ICE is pretty bad, right? Oh my God, ICE is just arresting everybody. It's like a secret police. They're going around. So you can see how this psychosis, like, builds up, right? You can see how this happens. People like Cutie eat it up. Yeah, they eat it up like crazy. As I said, it's only 170 cases out of 680,000 deportations. Can you give me a link for that, Nomad? Yeah, if somebody can find a link for that, that would be good.
Stores, at bus stops, even at our schools.
Yeah.
They're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
Unmarked vans. It's just, again... And you see how this is explained with the absolute highest degree of misrepresentation possible. You are intentionally trying to misrepresent this in the most extreme way that you can in order to make people think that something different's happening. That's it. It's the wording on it. Yeah, you're intentionally misleading people. If they ask for citizens, if that's citizens for documents, what's the problem? Well, they can't, the ICE are not able to do immigration things against U.S. citizens. They're not able to do that. It's just, it's against the law.
Kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process.
Well, why would they warn somebody?
Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement.
What? Wait, what are you talking about?
Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government.
This is organized brutality against the people of Minnesota. Meanwhile, this is what the people of Minnesota are doing. They're destroying cars, tearing things out, stealing guns out of FBI cars, and then reading out and trying to dox agents. Isn't that crazy? They can't know if you're a citizen or not without asking if you're a citizen? What an absolute shit show. Yeah, this is what people like this do.
Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video.
Yep.
We've all seen what happened. And yet instead
If you think that, there are still people that are hanging on to this. And like, I will say, like, we've been talking about this now for like a week. I can almost guarantee you nothing is going to happen to that officer. And do you know why? It's because he did nothing wrong. That's the reason why. He's not going to get charged. He's not going to get arrested. And they're going to find out, if there is an investigation, that he did nothing wrong. That's what's going to happen. And 100% lawyers, yes, 100% lawyers said so. I mean, I would say the majority of people think that, and or actually not the majority of people of like any like that know what they're talking about think this. Yes, clearly, it was justified. He was getting pat on the back, and yeah, he's the reason why Renee got shot for spreading this kind of message. He is, and this is the thing that I think that people like like Tim Walz don't understand, is that whenever they're saying this stuff, they're the ones that are gassing up their own people to run out there and be psychotic. They're the ones that are causing this to happen and making it even worse. They're the ones that are trying to, gas people up into thinking this is like Nazi Germany. And then you have all these people on social media that are like borderline, like mentally ill. They're borderline mentally ill. And so you're trying to goad these people into being violent and then use the violence as a reason for why you're right. That's it. That's what he's doing. Sadly, Minnesota isn't a stop and ID state, which every state should be, in my opinion. I don't know about that. Isn't he under duress while making a speech? He should be. He's going to get arrested, I hope. I think they should arrest him. He's causing a civil war between the state and the feds. He does. And I think they need to, like I've said this before, they need to charge this guy for sedition. They do. They need to arrest this guy, put him in jail, and charge him for sedition. Same with that mayor of Minneapolis. They need to arrest both of them and put them up on the most extreme charges possible.
Of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death, the Trump administration is devoting the full power of the federal government.
Let's have the Minnesota government investigate this, like they investigated all the Somali fraud. That you have had multiple whistleblowers, even on your own party, come out and expose you for trying to suppress. Yeah, let's go ahead and have that happen. That's a great idea. Brilliant. Really smart.
To finding an excuse to attack the victim and her family. Just yesterday, 6 federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs.
Oh, so, wait a minute, let me listen to this again.
Federal prosecutor to attack the victim and her family. Just yesterday, 6 federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state's programs, quit their jobs.
Why?
Rather than go along with this assault on the United States Constitution.
So they quit their job? Okay.
But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse.
It's going to get a lot worse. I hope so. This should only be the beginning. It should get 1,000 times worse than this. 100%. They're conflating judicial and executive powers by saying there's no due process when there is a deportation. Yeah, of course. There was no due process with getting a lot of these people into the country. And this was always the strategy that these people had, is that create an untenable situation by allowing people to mass import into the country and then try to exercise every single legal proceeding to remove them. Basically, ignore all the rules to bring them in and then force all the rules to get them out. It's so obvious what's happening. Yeah, it should get a lot worse.
This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming.
Thank God. Thank God. We need to put this guy in jail, charge him for sedition. Absolutely. And honestly, the only thing that's making me mad is the fact that Trump hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. Yes, okay, great. You're finally going to do something. I've been waiting on this for how long? Don't say it, actually do it. Yeah, like you want retribution. I do too. This is ridiculous. And there are more people that are dying because of Tim Walz. Keep in mind, none of this stuff happens in Florida. It doesn't happen in Texas. And do you know why? It's because the state police cooperate with ICE and they make it clear that you're not able to impede their investigations. And there are none of these crash outs that happen, even though comparatively, there are a lot of people in every state that voted for Kamala Harris. It's not like most states are not anything more extreme than 70-30. So that means at a very minimum level, 30% of the activated voters in that state probably voted for the opposing candidate. But even then, you don't have those people out there on the street causing problems. And the reason why is because you have the state police that reinforces the federal police, and they don't try to act in opposition to the federal police and usurp the United States. That's it. They didn't quit. They were fired. Well, I don't know what happened.
That's a direct threat against the people of this state who dared to vote against him 3 times and who continue to stand up for freedom.
Who dared to vote against him?
With courage and empathy and profound grace. All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are
profound. Wait, what was this here?
Grace for freedom. With courage and empathy and profound grace. All across Minnesota, people are stepping up to help their neighbors who are being unjustly and unlawfully targeted.
For sure.
They're distributing care packages and walking kids to school and raising their voices in peaceful protest.
Raising their voices, they're blowing whistles, driving cars, assaulting officers, hitting things, setting everything on fire, stealing guns out of federal law enforcement buildings or cars, and they're destroying everything. Like, what are you talking about peaceful? Like, yeah, obviously some of them are peaceful, some of them are not. Duh. Look at the voting map, red and blue. Oh yeah, no, I understand that. The Democrats tried to arrest Trump for inciting violence when he told the crowd to stay peaceful. I don't understand how Tim isn't arrested for actually inciting violence. It's because the Republicans are pussies. That's the reason why. And you need to understand that, is that the Republicans are operating under some false premise that if we do this to them, they're going to do it to us. No, if you don't do it to them, they're going to do it to you because they're going to be able to. Your goal should be to incapacitate them so they can't do it to you. This should be proactive.
Even though doing so has made many of our fellow Minnesotans targets for violent retribution. Folks, I know it's scary, and I know it's absurd that we all
get a lot worse.
All have to be defending law and order, justice, and humanity.
Law and order. You mean like the law that you can't be an illegal alien in the country, and the ICE can come and get you and remove you? See, this is the thing, is that all they do is they just go up there and they lie. They're just going up there and saying things that are not true. It's very obvious that the federal government has the authority to deport illegal aliens. Everybody knows this, but they're pretending into this lie for no reason. Over 1.5 million Minnesotans voted for Trump? Yeah, of course.
While also caring for our families and trying to do our jobs. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough.
I don't think they've gotten even half as close. I think that they need to find out. So if Tim Walz knowingly was allowing funds to be sent to Somalia, I think that instead of sedition, we should charge him for treason. I do. I think we should charge the guy for treason because you need to go. And the thing is that they're going to make a martyr out of this guy anyway, right? So you might as well do it. You might as well give them a good show. So I think that they should do that. Now, obviously, if they can't find out that he was working with with another government or facilitating funds to go to a foreign government or a terrorist organization, then it's going to be hard to charge him for treason, right? You'd have to do something else. But this guy needs to go to jail because at the end of the day, this is, and what Tim Walz is doing is just, it's more authoritarian than what Trump is doing. And I'm going to explain how. So the reason why it's more authoritarian is because Tim Walz is simply refusing to enact the law. Trump is doing the law. Trump is not acting in any way that is extreme or crazy at all. You're sending in federal officers to arrest people and to carry out deportation orders that are federally, decided. So Trump is the law. Well, it's not that he's the law, it's that Trump is following the law. Trump is following and applying the law. Tim Walz does not want to follow and apply the law, and he wants to actively stop the law from happening, and he's willing to use the absence of authority in order to create a pseudo-authority to enforce that law not being upheld. That's what he's doing. So basically he's saying, I can't have the federal officers and like the police here, the police in Minneapolis or Minnesota, I can't have those people come out and actively push against this. But what I can do instead is I can tell them not to do anything and let these rioters and these problem people go in and trash the whole place and stop federal officers. That's what he's doing. And that is authoritarianism. Whenever you're relying on basically a, vigilante group to enact your will for you, that's not in practice, really. It's not in practice that much different than just using your own police. Yeah, it's mob rule. Anarcho-tyranny? Yes, it's anarcho-tyranny. That's what they're advocating for. And he is basically taking advantage of his position as being the governor in order to weaponize these people by not upholding the law. That's what he's doing. You got the link already? Okay, let's see here. Yeah, and this is another thing. Total ICE deportations, and this is an AI summary, right? So we can, maybe some of it's a little bit inaccurate. And over 622,000 removals, deportations, and 1.9 million self-deportations. Arrests are described as hundreds of thousands of illegal criminal aliens, and with 70% having U.S. convictions and charges. So 70% of the people that they have deported have had arrests and charges prior. So overall detention snapshot peaked at 68,000, and percentage calculation. What's this here? Using conservative estimates, focusing only on mistaken identity, only 50 to 120 cases per sources were actually fake. And so really it's below 0.05. Very, very low percentage of fail rate. Extremely low percentage. Probably lower than the police. Why does it feel like Trump is finding loopholes around the law? Honestly, I feel like I wish he'd find more. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And Tim Walz should not look for anarcho-tyranny because there's millions of gun-armed citizens who won't hesitate to shoot if they know they can act on anarcho-tyranny themselves. Well, that's the problem, is that they selectively use the government to protect people that are the bad actors and to punish the people that are good actors. That's what's happening.
Let me say 4 critical things to the people of Minnesota.
There we go.
4 things I want you to hear as you watch the
things.
news and look out for your neighbors.
Uh-oh.
First, Donald Trump wants this chaos. He wants...
How does he want the chaos if you're the only one that's able to stop it? This is what's so crazy to me. Like, all you have to do, all Tim Walz has to do, he could stop this right now. All he has to do is go on camera and say, listen, guys, enough is enough. We're going to have the state police help ICE. They're going to get these deportations done, and then they're going to be out of here, and then everybody can go back to normal. You cannot impede, stop, interfere with, attack, or do anything to stop ICE's operations. And if you do so, you will be immediately arrested with no exceptions. That's all he has to do. Really, that's all that has to happen. He can stop this whenever he wants. And all he has to do by stopping it is to follow the law. All Donald Trump has to do to stop it is to not follow the law. Isn't that interesting? I don't think so. They'll just label him as a traitor. I think that... I mean, I don't think he's going to do it either, to be honest with you. Like, I think that they would label him as a traitor. They absolutely would. But he still can stop it. And more people will die. More people will die for sure because of this.
Confusion. And yes, he wants more violence on our streets. We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail.
Have you come out and condemned these people that are literally breaking into federal buildings and or federal cars? I keep saying the government. They should have done that instantly.
You're angry? I'm angry. Angry's not a strong enough word, but we must remain peaceful. Second,
I think treason
you are not powerless. You are not helpless, and you are certainly not alone. All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger. thousands upon thousands of our fellow Minnesotans.
It's crazy that you can have a governor of a state that's openly advocating for and promoting people to go out online and impede federal investigations. That's crazy, right? You have to make an example out of this person. You do. They have to make an example out of this person. How is this possible? They didn't arrest him for this bullshit? It's because Trump doesn't give a fuck. That's the problem. Is that the thing is, by the way, if Trump was actually a dictator, do you have people in Iran that are going around saying this stuff? No, of course not. Do you know why? It's because Iran has a dictator. That's the reason why. You have people in Russia that are going out saying this stuff? The last guy in Russia that tried to do this is his helicopter crashed. Wow. What a surprise. That's weird. Yeah, and yeah, wow. And you're not alone, you're outnumbered. You're not alone, you're outnumbered. Welcome to democracy. I like that. That's clever. So it's just, you're obviously not up against a dictator. You can say it in Russia, but only once. Yeah, there's a lot of places like that too. Is there impeachment processes that can be used against governors? Well, I don't know. And remind me, when was the last time this happened in China? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't happen in countries that actually have an oppressive government. It only happens in countries like this where people like to LARP like they have an oppressive government. That's the difference. Iran's a bad example. The people are taking over now. Yeah, but not after somebody like this is talking. I'll tell you that.
Minnesotans are going to be relying on mutual aid in the days and weeks to come, and they need our support. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help.
How?
Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities.
Yeah.
So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans.
How is it that the people that are against the idea of making a database for getting rid of illegal aliens want to make a database for getting rid of ICE agents? It's almost as if there's no actual principle behind this and they're just advocating from a power perspective. Just guys for research. Yeah, this is what they're doing. Yeah, atrocities? Yes, the atrocities of arresting people. That's clearly what's going on. It's insane. What, a state government supporting state rights? I wonder what the last people to do that is. Yeah, who's the last guy that did states' rights? That didn't turn out too well for him, did it? Absolutely carry your phone, create a database of geolocated domestic terrorists. Yeah, definitely. And it could be curing cancer and still be mad. I hate this guy. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Peaceful protest isn't the same as blocking the road. And you see that, you know, Tim Walz intentionally, I think, never tries to draw a distinction between that and, like, blocking the road or stopping the ICE agents or doing anything else. Do you think he's trying to create this chaos so he can sneak in another term run? No. I think he's trying to create this chaos so he can try to sneak out of the country without getting arrested. That's what I think the difference is. I don't think he's actually going to do it. I'm joking around, right? But, like, no, he's not doing that. Like, they got to arrest this guy. So if ICE is bad and they're so wrong, why is the main event only in Minnesota? The reason why it's only in Minnesota is because, and the reason why there are all these bad ICE things that happen is that it's happening in the states where the state government is actively trying to sabotage and work against the federal government, and that causes more chaos. That's the reason why it's not happening in any of the states that's working with ICE.
Not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution. The third thing I want to say to you tonight is, we will not have to live like this forever.
I agree. I agree.
Accountability is coming at the voting booth and in court. We will.
I agree again. I totally agree with this. He is so right.
Reclaim our communities from Donald Trump.
Man.
We will reestablish a sense of safety for our neighbors, and we will bring an end to